Every time that we pull up our anchor and put out our sails, this is exactly what we're dreaming of. Beautiful blue water, dolphins on the bow, following seas, and just enough wind to push us along at a decent speed without using the motor. Unfortunately, that's not always the reality of sailing life.
We're the Redneck Redcoats, and we're sailing SV Fresh to Salty.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now. Let's move closer to a new history, find out what we can be together. Take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance. 'Cause one day we'll be looking back at this. We were in a big mess together. But we found a way to choose right from wrong. We found the strength to go on together. To go on together. Yeah. To go on together. To go on together.
So it's provisions day today because we are getting ready to get out of here and head to the Bahamas. We've got the kids up. That one's half asleep. That one's coming slowly. And then the other one is on that boat over there. So, oh, and this one's half asleep. So Chris and Talon are back at the boat with one load. Katie's worn it out already. And we filled the dinghy up with another load.
Okay, but it's getting dark, so we
Yeah.
need to hustle. So what are you doing?
Taking our water meter apart to see if we can figure out why it's not working. Anchor up. That's meant for power boats. You can actually, on the latest autopilots on the power boats, you can actually plan a route and it'll make all sorts. So we sailed from Marathon to No Name Harbour last night, did about 75 nautical miles. But just as we were coming into No Name, the engine started behaving funny. It was sudden loss of revs and going back up. I thought it was a slipped fan belt, but we managed to sail the rest of the way in because the sun had just come up. But as we were anchoring and we put the prop into reverse, all this weed came off the back of the boat, and there was also a knocking vibration every time we put it into gear. If I ran the engine in neutral and just revved it up, no problem whatsoever. So I'm hoping that there's a whole bunch of weed wrapped around the prop, some sea gas at sea, and that getting rid of that will stop this bogging down that seems to happen when you get to about 2,000 revs. It will just suddenly die slightly and then come back, die slightly, come back. If not, have to get some fuel injector cleaner or something, we'll see. Anyway, I guess I'm about to go in some cold water because it's been raining most of the morning here, and see what I can see. Right, I'm done. So we're finally on our way to the Bahamas after seems like almost forever preparing. It's almost a year since we got the boat. Certainly found the boat anyway. So we have a crew member.
Hi, name's Chris.
Chris used to work with me, so he's an avid sailor and wants to get some more experience, so he decided to come with us. We're all pretty excited, nervous, and at the same time, so I'm more nervous about checking in and getting it all right as far as make a couple of corrections. All the paperwork right, but we've got our visa health are all approved, got all those printed off, we've got all the boat documents, and it's going to be a bit wavy and a bit windy, but we are on our way. So Latrell's very excited. What are we doing?
I mean, I don't think you should be worried about checking in. What's the worst that can happen? They say, you didn't get that right, redo it.
I hope so.
That's the word, what?
Or we could be like Chuck and they threaten to fine him $10,000.
No, because we're going to ask if we got everything right when we get there. Alright, what's going on?
I think we got diesel bug or some kind of blockage, but the filter's
Show me
black.
that. Show me that.
And it's just black stuff in the
Coming out of the
filter. Yeah. I can't actually get to the rake off thing because it's not in the easiest of positions. I don't think there's water in it, it's just
Gunk.
gunk. I'm hoping just changing the filters
It's going to help.
is going to help. Hopefully there isn't a blockage and it didn't block the
Injectors.
injectors.
Meanwhile, while Steve is fixing our fuel issue that's keeping the motor, Chris is keeping us on course. How fast we going?
We're doing 6.5 knots over ground.
Not bad, considering the engine's not running.
No, not bad at all.
And you're hand steering, aren't you?
Yeah, that's more fun.
I think it's more fun too. I prefer that too.
It's actually saving us on power.
Yep. What are you doing over here, Callan?
I don't know anymore.
We got it under control though, right? Meanwhile, look what Dad did to your bed. Had to in order to get to the fuel stuff. So how did you get the fuel out of the fuel filter container?
So we had a spare bulb for the dinghy,
Yeah.
and I cut the ends off and just used that to pump it out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So grab a light and let's see what this looks like.
Oh, come down here.
Oh my
Okay, I'm coming.
See some black bits in it.
Yeah, I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but there's black things, little chunks floating around in there, and the rag is pretty gross. So he's on the phone with our son-in-law Luke, because Luke is a certified diesel mechanic, to get us some assistance. And meanwhile, Chris is, what are we doing?
Holding it steady, 90 degrees, doing about 6.8, 7 knots over ground.
Through the Gulf Stream at that, right?
We're probably definitely the Gulf Stream because we're going pretty fast considering the wind.
Yeah. So, and meanwhile, Talon has decided to, I don't know if y'all can see him because it's dark, he has taken up his regular sleeping spot out here in the cockpit. What are you girls doing?
Drawing.
What are you doing, Lexi? Trying to sleep? Are you worried? It's engine problems, we'll fix it. How's it going down there? Hey, can you give me a quick update?
I'm checking to see if this fuel line to this filter, it's not drawing in any fuel.
So you think it might be clogged in the tank?
It might be clogged in this line.
Well, that's a start.
So this pipe, which is the pipe that feeds this ray cool, there was suction happening on this, but it wasn't sucking any fuel into it.
So when you pumped the bulb out here to prime it, it was causing suction in there, but
Yes.
It wasn't pulling up any fuel.
But it wasn't
okay?
pulling up any fuel. So I put this bulb onto it to see if I could get it to prime.
Onto that connector right there.
Yeah, and I couldn't get it to prime. So I managed to take it out, blow it. I've added it back, sucked it, got fuel out of it again.
So when you put this bulb onto that thing with the white handle,
Yeah.
how many times do you have to pump it to get fuel out? To get air, fuel, or anything?
Initially, I did 20 times and it still didn't get anything out. And then I've just done it now and it finally came out. So I filled that up with fuel, so I don't have to prime it so much. But
Yep.
we're going to try it
Give it a
again
try.
in a minute.
All right.
Yep.
All right, what are you doing now?
Making a makeshift fuel tank. I just want to see if this actually works and whether this is what's...
So if it runs out of this, then you'll know that there's a clog in that valve, right?
Yeah, plug in the tank.
Yeah. We may have to take that valve out.
In which case we'll have to take the fuel out, clean the tank out, and replace the fuel somehow. Give it another go. Almost. Yep. I'll turn it off now.
Their status.
So we've bypassed the fuel tank. I've jerry-rigged a temporary fuel tank. My
Where's your
phone's
phone?
going.
Your phone's down there. Probably Sarah and Luke trying to call you back.
Hey man. Hello? 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 Hello?
Just text him.
He's tried twice. Hey. You there?
Hi.
So I think I got...
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I got diesel bug in the main tank.
Say that again slow.
I think I've got diesel bug in the main tank. What I've done is I had an empty jerry can, so I filled it half full of diesel, put a fuel line into it, and the engine runs. If I put the fuel line into the main tank, it dies after a couple of minutes.
Okay.
It gets blocked up with something.
It's either your lift pump on the engine or one of your fuel water separators or fuel filters is full of algae.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. Come on, that's the first thing I would check would be drain all the fuel lines, reprime all of the engine,
Yep.
and try to get it back in from there. You know, I mean, it sounds like you've got a blockage in your fuel system.
Yep. Alright, well
Is that what you're thinking too?
Yes. Because what was happening 2 days ago was we were doing great, motoring all night, and then all of a sudden it started
Bogging
revving,
down.
idling down, and then it would start back up again and then idle down again. But it only did it when yeah, and then today I put new filters in to try and see if that would solve the issue. It was, we bypassed the main fuel tank because every time we started it, it would just die and get blocked up. So there's obviously some algae, gunk, solid stuff in there. So what I did was I got a jerry can, I put a fuel line into it, and we're running off a jerry can right now. We get about half a gallon to an hour, so we got enough for about 8 to 10 hours. So we're just charging batteries up at the moment to make sure.
So, and we only have 7 hours left to get to Bimini.
Yeah. So as we get closer to Bimini, we're going to slow down a little bit because we're doing 6 knots, which is absolutely brilliant for a sail.
Wait, the engine is running right now to back up electric.
Yeah.
But are we using the engine in any way to sail? No. The engine is in neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright, anything else? Meanwhile, in the dark over here,
Just moral support.
Chris has kept us fairly en route, as best you can with no engine going across the current. We'll have to tack back in a bit, but all's good, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, we still got Chris at the helm, we are going too far north. We'll have to tack back in a bit. Again, because we ran through all the fuel that we had in jerry cans except for one jerry can that we are saving in case we need that to anchor. Steven is behind me, and what we're going to attempt to do is, we know that the clog, the valve, the fuel is coming out of the fuel tank, the valve attached to the fuel tank is not, it keeps getting clogged up. So what we're going to do is put a hose into the tank and siphon it out into the jerry can so we can use it. But we're also going to filter it as it goes into the jerry can so that we're not bringing any gunk that might be causing the clogs up. By the time we were filtering fuel out of the main tank into jerry cans to try to run the engine, we were exhausted. So I made the decision to put the camera down and just focus on helping Steven get the engine going. The things that didn't get filmed were traumatic and exhausting, but we did make it into Bimini, and we decided to anchor so that Steven could go and check in, and then our friend Chris was going to be getting on a plane and heading back to the US because he had to go back to work. As we were putting the anchor down, our windlass went out. So once we were checked in and Chris had gone off to a hotel so that he could get a flight the next morning, we made the decision to go into Browns Marina we needed a couple of days off. We needed some rest. We needed to just regroup. On the way into the marina, the engine cut out again. So we ended up running aground on a reef. It was the scariest thing ever. We still weren't filming, and what you're looking at right now is just where Lexi picked up my phone and videoed us being towed off the reef. Things were scary enough, and our boat was literally on its side, that Steven had all the kids put on life jackets and get the ditch bag. And he took the dinghy down and said, I'm going to make one last ditch effort to pull our boat off the reef. And if that doesn't work, we're getting in the dinghy to leave, because it just wasn't safe. Just happened that we have some friends named Kayla and Eno that we hadn't even met them yet. We only knew them through social media, but they were at Browns Marina, and they were the ones who had helped us ensure we could get a slip there that night. They contacted the dockmaster, and the dockmaster, somebody called this towing company, and they came and got us off the reef before we could abandon ship. I swear we would only abandon ship if it was the last resort, but we felt like we were at that last resort. Our boat was at one point literally laying on its side on the reef. Somehow we came out of that traumatized, mentally traumatized, with just some scrapes on the bottom of the boat and on the rudder. Stuff that we would have been painting over when we haul out this summer anyway. Kind of feel like we were pretty blessed, even though in the moment we didn't feel that way. at least get to go and watch the sunset with Kayla and Enno before they had to move on to their next destination. We have been trying for weeks to meet up with this couple. They're on a boat called Sailing Discipleship. They have a YouTube channel called Sailing Discipleship. They are in the Bahamas right now to try to see what type of help they can offer to people that were damaged from Hurricane Dorian and any other people that just need help. But they're there to try to do some discipleship type things with other people they're going to be meeting up with other people that are also doing the similar things, and we had really wanted to be a part of that and go maybe buddy around with them and go do some stuff. But if you watch the next couple of weeks of videos, you'll see that we ended up back in the US, and you'll see why and how and everything that went on. But I'm not ready to give up. I don't know about Steven. I think Steven's might be ready to give up. No, I think we're both need to back up and reset and get our bearings and then give this another go. But for now, we're in the US, we're holed up in a marina, we're doing some boat work, and we're figuring out what our next step is. So stay tuned.